There are many ways in which you can contribute to an open source project such as BTCPay Server, even if you're not a developer. In today's video, we will show you how you can contribute to BTCPay Server documentation from start to finish. Upon watching the video, you'll be able to create your first pull request and you'll become BTCPay Server contributor. First of all, let me show you how our documentation looks. So, when you go to docs.btcpayserver.org, you'll see how our documentation is organized and displayed to regular users. However, our documentation is hosted on GitHub. It is completely open source and anybody on the internet can submit their changes and contribute to improve this documentation for users. Documentation is hosted at BTCPay Server Doc on GitHub, and here you can see the doc repository. Repository is basically just a folder where all our files are hosted. The first thing we'll need is a GitHub account. If you don't have one, you should go to github.com and create your account here. Then we'll need a Git software. These are the tools that I personally found the easiest to use for complete beginners that do not have too much advanced options and stuff like that. So download Github Desktop. We'll also need that one after you sign up for the account, and you'll need a text editor. For documentation, I personally found that Sublime Text works quite fairly decent and it is pretty simple. So you can of course use any other text editor that you prefer. So register an account on GitHub, download GitHub Desktop and download Sublime Text or any other text editor of your preference, and then I'll see you in just a few moments. The first thing we're going to do is open our GitHub Desktop application. GitHub Desktop simply extends your Git and GitHub workflow, and it uses a user interface, so you don't have to use a command line in order to contribute to documentation. Once you open the app, you need to clone a repository. Cloning a repository means that we'll create a local copy of BTCPay Server documentation on our own machine, on our own PC. There are many ways in which you can clone a repository. The simplest way for a beginner is to clone repository from the internet. You'll need to sign in with your github.com account, so do that. Once you're signed in, click again clone repository from the internet. The easiest way to do it from a newbie perspective is to go to URL here and head back to BTCPay Server documentation. Just copy the link here and paste it. You can select a folder where you want a local copy to be in, but just click clone. So now we are creating our own local copy. The cloning process may take a few moments. Now we created a local copy here. One thing that I want to advise you is to always create a different branch for whatever changes you want to make. So let's say that in BTCPay Server documentation repository, you found an error on create a stored document. So you just found something that you want to change. For example, you find this paragraph a bit unclear and you want to change it. So in your GitHub Desktop, you need to create a new branch. Never do changes in your master branch, and I will explain in a moment why. So just click on the master and click new branch. Here you can name your branch whatever you want. You can call it patch or whatever you want. I will call this one create store and click create branch. You can publish this branch right away if you want. Let's explore locally on our PC the BTCPay Server documentation. Always make sure that you're on a proper branch before you click show in folder, because Git Desktop will automatically open a proper folder for you. So open the BTCPay Server docs, and here you can see all the files, folders and documents that we can change. If you head back to BTCPay Server docs main repository, you'll notice that these are exactly the same files as you see them on the web. As I mentioned, we wanted to change something in the create a store file. Let's head back to that one and open it. And this is why we need now our text editor, Sublime Text. We will use the Sublime Text in order to make our changes. So open the document that you want to change with Sublime Text. And here it is basically a text editor. For documentation in particular, you don't have to learn how to code. It is basically a text editing. It is not even a programming language. So here you can do any text changes that you want. Let's say that I want to change the title here. Customizing your BTCPay Server Store settings. And let's say that I want to bold something. If you want to learn about how to properly format text in Markdown, you can just Google it. It's fairly simple. I won't go into that in this video, but basically I'll teach you how you can apply some changes. You can also type some text here. For example, if you find a typo, you can also fix it. And this is very important. Once you apply the changes to the document, you need to save them. On Mac, it is Command S. And you can also go to files and simply save. So on Mac it is Command S, but on Windows I think it is Control S, but you can just go to file and save it like this. As soon as you click save, if you go back to your GitHub Desktop, you'll see the changes that you've made. Of course, you can do these changes an unlimited amount of time. If you here notice that there is something more that you want to change, you can head back to document, apply one more change here. You need to click save so that changes are reflected. And you'll see now, if I go to GitHub Desktop, you'll see again your changes here. So we applied our changes. Now we need to say what we've changed. Here in the title I can write some formatting changes to create store doc. And if there is something more that you want to write here, demoing for docs. Once you do that, you need to commit these changes. Commit is basically a revision or an individual change to a certain file. And commits allow us to have a record of changes that were made to that particular file and who made them. Once you commit something, you can push these changes to the internet or to your forked copy on the web if you're done. So click here, push, and this will push changes right away to the GitHub on the web. Once you're done, you can then create a pull request. A pull request is a proposed change to a repository submitted by you, and it can be accepted or rejected from the collaborators. So now that we did our changes, let's suggest them to the maintainers of the documentation repository. Click create pull request. And this is what I like about GitHub Desktop. It basically does everything for you. Here now you're creating pull requests. You can, in case you want to describe them a little bit more, you can do that. And if your pull request is actually related to an issue, for example, you browsed issues on the BTCPay Server Documentation repository and you want to fix it, because you can of course do that. You'll see here the ID of the issue and you can also link it. If it's not related to an issue, then you can leave it, for example. And if you're sure that everything is okay, you can create a pull request. And that's it. You submitted your pull request. It is now up to the maintainers to review and community to review your changes and accept them. What can happen is that maintainer can ask you to make certain changes. Once they review your file, they can ask you to make changes. For example, they notice that you made a typo or something is wrong with your pull request. Make sure again that you are on a proper branch related to your pull request. And again, just click show in folder. Go to your doc that you want to make changes to, and Here you can make changes. For example, they say that this paragraph is redundant. Once you apply the changes, again, save them. Go to Github Desktop. And do a commit. Again, you'll push your commit live. And if you head back to your pull request on the BTCPay Server Documentation repository, you'll see here the changes. Now you only need to wait for them to merge in your changes to the main repository. And that's everything. Congratulations, after your changes are merged, you are a contributor to BTCPay Server Documentation. Very good way in which you can identify the issues if you're unable to identify them yourself, as I mentioned, is in issues section here, where you can read certain issues and you can comment if you want to tackle them. Furthermore, we have our community chat where I'll put a link to it in the description of this video, and you can there as well chat with contributors on what you want to tackle or what can be tackled in order to improve the documentation of BTCPay Server. I hope this quick video was helpful. As you can see, anybody can do these changes. You do not have to be a developer or even tech savvy. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us in our group chat. I'll put links to all of these resources and a couple of more that will help you understand GitHub better. I hope that this video helped you understand a bit how GitHub works and how you can contribute to BTCPay Server Documentation. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.